So we spent a considerable amount of time thinking about and discussing the concept of digital interconnection with insurers. And if I've learned anything from the insurance market over the last 20 years, it's the fact that insurers do depend on truth. They like truth, they like proof points. And as a result, Equinix decided that it would be a very helpful development if we started to give the markets, insurers, financial services, and any others, true indications, evidence-based indications on where interconnection is going. As we feel it's going to be a fundamental part of IT in the future. So we thought it would be very helpful to provide them with some evidence of that. And we did a considerable amount of research into this, into where interconnection is going, and we've recently produced the Global Interconnection Index, or GII, as we call it, which is a document that lays bare, if you like, what is actually happening in the world of interconnection, out in IT usage. And it's revealed a couple of very interesting things. The first is that insurance and financial services, certainly within Europe, within EMEA, is going to be, we believe, the highest level of consumption of increased interconnection into the future. And I think that's very interesting because it rather underlines the point that in financial services, in insurance, areas that perhaps have been big users of IT, if somewhat conservatively, that they are going to be hit very, very hard by this need for digitization. And I think that the GII is going to show them the way in which this is moving forward. They can compare it to other industries that are above and beyond financial services to see where everyone is going. And as a tool, I think it's going to be very useful to these regulatory driven firms for them to see what is happening in that world. One of the areas where we have seen the greatest effort being put in is in the world of catastrophe modelling. Of course, just to recap on that, that is the area that concerns mainly natural disasters, although terrorism and cyber attack are sort of now beginning to be looked at in that fashion as well. And what has happened is that catastrophe modelling has been dominated by three global suppliers of CAT modelling systems over the last 25, 30 years, who've done some excellent work to bring models to underwriters, to allow them to use them effectively. But it became obvious that there are a very large number of very small modelling companies doing highly specialised work around the world who really had no means of bringing their product to market. And Equinix became involved with the OASIS loss modelling framework a few years ago. And we were very pleased to be able to help them bring their product to market and to introduce some of our partners to them who have enabled them to take their system onto the cloud and to run it in a sort of supported world-class fashion. And the point of OASIS is that it acts as a framework, a sort of harness, if you like. And what you can do is, using that harness, you can load other models onto it. And then the models use the harness to actually operate. And the idea of the OASIS service is that you have the framework, and then you have service providers that actually deliver the service to the end user. So, in other words, if you have some academics in a university somewhere who've come up with a fantastic granular model for doing something, I mean, one example we're familiar with is Australian bushfire, and all the model does is model Australian bushfire. But they now have a mechanism to create their product. They have a mechanism to take it to market with a service company who will do all that work for them. And we hope it is going to be a great success. It began at the beginning of this year in London with 10 Lloyd's syndicates using an American hurricane model called HERLOS. And other models are now beginning to join the platform, and we do really see a sort of community of interest growing up around this to deliver granular, highly focused modelling to the insurance world.